The national politics has once again heated up as the disputes revolve around Karnali province is threatening to create a wider rift in the ruling Nepal Communist Party. There has been some unfortunate development coming from the Karnali province yesterday as leaders from the ruling party have clearly been divided into two factions, bringing them on the verge of a possible split. Good morning, I'm Sarah Chitrakar and these are the top stories of the hour. Majority of Secretariat members decide to stand against the unilateral ways of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. The Oli faction claims the party on the verge of split. The government all geared up to bring new regulations on land that would facilitate encroachers to seal ownership of government and public lands. The Philippines hit by year's most powerful storm, at least 10 people dead and over 1 million evacuated. And Kolkata Knight Riders register 2 crucial points against Rajasthan Royals to stake their claim for IPL playoff berth. The novel coronavirus has continued its surge as a total of 2,824 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed yesterday, taking the case tally to 173,567. The death toll, meanwhile, has climbed to 960 as 23 more deaths related to COVID-19 were reported yesterday. According to the Health Ministry, a total of 13,023 swab samples were tested yesterday, taking the test tally to over 1.45 million. 1,622 cases were reported from the federal capital as Kathmandu district confirmed 1,362 cases, while Lalitpur reported 164 and Bhaktapur registered 96 cases. Likewise, 3,620 individuals registered full recovery yesterday, taking the national recovery tally to 134,842, while the recovery rate has climbed to 77.7%. According to the Health Ministry, there are over 37,000 active cases in the country, with 6,779 in isolation centers, 30,986 in home isolation and 2,386 corona patients in various quarantine facilities. The ministry informed that 78 patients are receiving treatment with ventilator support, while 283 are in intensive cares. The majority of secretary members of the ruling Nepal Communist Party, including Executive Chairman Pushpa Kamal Dahal, have decided to stand against the unilateral ways of Party Chairman and Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. The Oli faction has meanwhile termed the development as a hint towards party split. The top brass leaders from the disgruntled faction reached Kumaltar residence of Executive Chairman Pushpa Kamal Dahal yesterday to build strategy to stand against the Prime Minister. The leaders included senior leader duo Jhalnath Khanal and Madhav Kumar Nepal, Vice Chairman Bamdev Gautam and spokesperson Naran Kaji Shrestha. The meeting has decided to call party secretariat meeting and go all out against Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli modus operandi. The Dahal camp has strong reservations on issues of cabinet restructuring, appointment of envoys and Premier's meeting with the Indian Intelligence Agency RAW Chief Samanta Kumar Goel. Meanwhile, a majority of Secretariat members turning against the Prime Minister, General Secretary and Finance Minister Bishnu Paudel has hinted at a party split. The political fraternity has taken Minister Paudel's tweet where he mentioned of looming crisis in the ruling party with significant interest. Minister Paudel, who was also seen in the role of a mediator in the standoff between the chairman duo, has urged leaders to prevent a possible split. The Oli camp has meanwhile charged the Kumaltar meeting of formulating a new equation with Nepali Congress and Janta Samajwadi Party after splitting the party. The disputes in the ruling party have escalated after the Oli camp initiated no confidence motion against Karnali Province Chief Minister Mahendra Bahadur Shahi, who is close to the Dahal camp. The government is all geared up to bring regulations on land that would facilitate encroachers to seal ownership of government and public lands. As per the Act, any individual occupying such land over 10 years will be entitled to ownership after paying nominal charges. Such arrangement has paved way for encroachers to grab lands in Lalit Niwas, Balwatar. The 8th Amendment of Land Act last year had allowed the unorganized squatters to claim the land which was in their possession for at least 10 years. They can receive the ownership after paying nominal charges which will be fixed considering their economic status. This provision will be included in the 18th Amendment of the Land-Related Guidelines and is in process of approval from the Cabinet. The Land Commission, led by NCP leader Devi Gyawali, had proposed to levy from 8 to 200% revenue based on current land rate and is waiting for a final seal from the Cabinet, which will pave way for the distribution of the land. The commission, formed by the government some 7 months ago, has already set up its mechanism in 77 districts. Despite the formation of such commissions after the change of governments, the problem of squatters had not yet solved, while mounting pressure on the government to address the long-standing issue. Meanwhile, an attempt has been made to provide land in the encroached area to anyone who encroaches as unorganized settlers. This has increased the risk of the land mafia thriving on the provision, as prominent leaders and high-ranking officials are involved in occupying the government land in collusion with these land mafias. Legal experts have meanwhile maintained that such controversial provision will only encourage encroachers to seize more public lands. Saudi Arabia, the major labor destination for Nepali youths, is preparing to amend the Labour Act to provide relief to migrant workers. The Saudi government is going to amend the act to be implemented from the 1st of January coming New Year. After the amendment of the act, more than 300,000 Nepali migrant workers will be benefited. Saudi Arabia is the second largest labor destination of Nepali migrant workers. However, the plight of the Nepalese workers more often than not is troublesome due to numerous restrictions under the existing kafala laws. Strict provisions including changing the company without employer's consent after forbidding with minimal human rights. Migrant workers even face jail sentence if they acted against the command of their employers. Most of the youths who went to Saudi Arabia could not bear the various forms of tortures at the hands of their employers and lodged complaints at Department of Foreign Employment, including salary issue, changing company, forced to return home before termination of contract, and even missing fellow workers, among others. It is usually seen that unskilled Nepali youths go to Saudi Arabia to work in sectors such as animal husbandry, crude oil production and service sectors. Saudi Arabia has been criticized for mistreating migrant workers and was facing pressure after Qatar amended the Labour Act in September in favor of migrant workers. Following widespread pressure from human rights organizations, the Saudi government is poised to scrap kafala laws from the start of the year 2021, and the new provision will facilitate more than 6 million migrant workers, including more than 300,000 Nepali migrant workers. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the local residents in Pokhara what they would like to say to the dispute between Prime Minister and the top leaders within the party at this time of the pandemic. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
आफ्नो चाहिँ टम्पु बजाइरहेको जुन जनमत देखिरहेको यसले चाहिँ नेकपाप्रति र सरकारप्रति सँगसँगै जनमतप्रति अलिकति वितृष्णा जाएको भन्ने कुरा लागिरहेको
विडम्बना हो। देशको लागि, जनताको लागि, नेपालको लागि विडम्बना हो। यस्तो नहुनु पर्ने थियो। अझ पनि सद्बुद्धि आओस्।
यो चाहिँ हाम्रो दुर्भाग्य हो। आज चाहिँ जनता जुन चाहिँ मारमा छन्, नेताहरू चाहिँ दुई धारमा छन्, जनता मारमा छन्। आज त्यो चाहिँ चाहना, जनताको चाहना नेताहरूले बुझ्न नसकेको अवस्था छ।
पार्टी एउटा भए पनि पार्टीभित्र पार्टी भए जस्तो विभिन्न धार उपधारले गर्दाखेरि सरकार कमजोर जस्तो महसुस मैले गरेँ र अहिलेको यो शक्तिशाली सरकार भनिए पनि केमा अल्मलिरहेको छ भन्ने कुराहरू जनतालाई लागेको छ।
अब एउटै पार्टी हुन् त भने यिनीहरूको हृदय कहिल्यै पनि एउटै थिएन। प्रचण्ड र ओली जस्तो विरोधी कोही पनि होइन। अहिले एमालेका नाताले यिनीहरू जोडिएर त्यो छद्मवेशी रूप देखाएका हुन्। यिनीहरू एउटै हुँदा पनि होइनन्।
सत्ता टिकिराखेन, देशलाई लुटिराखेन र जनतालाई चाहिँ जनताको बारेमा र जनताको चाहिँ हकिकत र जनताको उद्धार अथवा जनतालाई राहत दिने काम र देश विकास र निर्माणको काममा उहाँहरूको कुनै चासो छैन।
सत्ताको उन्मादलाई कसरी आफ्नो बीचमा प्रयोग गर्ने भन्ने हिसाबको दृष्टिकोणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ यति बेला नेपाली जनता विकास निर्माणले छलाङ मार्नुपर्ने बेला आन्तरिक कलह र द्वन्द्वको शिकारमा नेपाली जनताहरू परिरहेका छन्।
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question: why are there attempts to give land ownership certificates to encroachers of public land? Your options are A, for organized settlement, B, influence of land mafias, and C, ballot politics. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And those were our latest headlines. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.